All right. Okay, thank you everybody for coming. We appreciate it. This is just the agenda for tonight that we had submitted. So first, we just wanted to see if there was any, public input. So we'll get to that, and then an update from both, Katie and Allison from Howard Stein Hudson, and then just review and go over. We had sent out a letter that Bill had done up and questionnaires that he had done up for the stakeholders. And also potential caretakers of Roberts Field. We had some people respond and some people did not. So I actually copied and pasted everybody's responses on here so we could just kind of go over them and just discuss them. There were not a lot of responses. And then again, just like discuss quickly the fundraiser on the 23rd, so it should be pretty quick. So I guess we'll just open it up to any kind of public input that's out there at this point. And Officer Spence? Lieutenant, okay. If you can either do public input, whatever is easiest for you, or we can wait until we get down to just reviewing the stakeholder, and so it's totally up to you what you.
I can wait.
Okay. Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to? Any public input out there? Okay.
All right.
Alrighty.
Check.
Update.
So at the last meeting, we didn't really have anything to talk over, so I wanted to at least put existing conditions plan in front of you with some of the updates. Allison and I spoke after the last meeting and after the initial sit down with some of you folks, and basically started to put some ideas together. We didn't want to go too full out yet, obviously because we don't have a lot of clear direction from the group. So I think that a few of the things that we had decided were pretty well across the board agreed upon was the parking. We looked at the parking. I'm showing striping on the parking, some addition of a few spaces here and there where it makes sense to add additional impervious. The playground, obviously.
Sorry, do you know about how many more spaces you've added, roughly?
I believe about 6 or 7 more spaces. So there's a small area here
Looks like 7.
of 4, and then a small area here of 4.
Three.
We added in a handicap space. So essentially in the areas that are fairly flat already, it wouldn't take a lot to add some additional parking. And here also, we looked at the striping of the lot. This is showing, 61 and 52 spaces, so 113 spaces, the way it's shown here now. We also looked at the fire truck getting around the parking lot, making sure it could, as part of that. The playground was obviously something that was definite from everyone.
I'm sorry. So does the footprint of the parking lot change, or is it just a rear? Okay.
It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger. If you look to this area here, you can kind of see underneath here where the pavement line goes now. So there's 3 additional spaces in this general area, and then there's 4 spaces at the end here where it's fairly flat also.
And would that allow for handicap parking as well?
Right. So what we looked at was as part of this was creating this path or a loop around the entire field. I think that was something that seemed pretty important to everyone too. Bringing you around the different amenities, or allowing the loop to go around to hit all of the different exercise equipment that's out there today, and also provide an accessible path to walk around kind of the exterior of Roberts Field. So what we looked at doing was creating a handicapped space area here that would be accessible to this main walk, and created a loop around. Just as an idea, a loop around. You could have picnic tables off of the loop and or benches off of the loop. It brings you back and connects you into the trail system that's at the back in the wooded area of the site. One of the important things was obviously the playground, but not to disrupt the existing playground. At the time the new playground was being constructed, looking at areas where the playground is and just thinking about the residents that live around here. Obviously, they're used to the playground being on this side. If we were to demolish or keep this playground in use during construction, we could move the playground just interior. What that does is it allows us to use some of those shade trees that are as part of the existing playground. I think one of the things that's important to the playground is to have some shaded areas, so we could reuse essentially those trees that are on that inside of the playground area for shade, and bring in the playground on kind of just to the inside of that loop.
I'm sorry, is this the same footprint as the current playground?
This is shown as the same footprint, but that's not,
That's-
again,
okay.
this is
Yep.
just for us to have something to say yay or nay to kind of start
Yep.
talking about. What this also allows you to do is basically reuse the path with the bricks and reuse the archway too. This kind of creates an entrance into this loop here. So if you're coming from the parking lot, you can come up, essentially the existing way you come up and enter into the loop there. So you could keep the stone that's there, the boulder that's there, you could keep the archway that's there, you could keep the bricks that are there, and it can become an integral part of this loop.
Yeah, and I think, especially for the people, that did it 20 years ago, it's pretty important to them. I think they get it, especially with Nick knowing, them, I think they needed to hear that it's near the end of the life, and that's why this is happening with the playground. But if they can still keep some of their,
Yeah, no, absolutely, salvage
their
some of the
efforts.
stuff that's there. So I think this is essentially the gateway to the loop. If you're not parked in the upper level or need handicapped accessibility, you could come up here, and this would be your entrance essentially into the park once again. There's some holes in this plan, which I'll discuss later, because it's kind of some of the phase 2 items we were thinking about doing. I took those off for this evening. So you can see the loop comes all the way around. It connects you into the pathway that goes into the trail system and directs you to the Pollinator Park. It creates accessibility to the restrooms, or the potential to use that for a restroom. It brings you around all the way to the pond. The playground is shown here, just interior of the old playground. It is being shown as the same exact size, but obviously there's room for that to change based on this layout. And also a picnic pavilion, which would be accessible both from the parking lot and from the playground here. Phase 2 items we started to look at and integrated into this were, we did look at a small splash pad and having it in this area near the restroom, potentially for future, only because you already have water and sewer there currently. Utilities go to the DPW garage, so it would be important to kind of have it near there. I think it's also important to have it near the restrooms for small children and water play. We looked at bocce, which we looked at in this general area here, basically where the playground is now, essentially the flat area there today. We don't have a plan to reuse that area once that's gone. Could that be bocce in the future? Absolutely. And we also left basically the main part of the field open. So it was really important from what we understood from both the survey and from listening to the committee last time that the view shed was really important, basically for it to still feel like an open field. So we kind of kept everything to the exterior to allow you to basically see into the field and across to the pond. Some of the things that Allison and I discussed today that we'd like to talk about tonight is just getting a little bit more clarity on what you would like us to show on the plan. We want to talk a little bit about the details and how much detail we should or should not get into. Phasing of some of the items like we talked about today. We had also prepared, I'd also done a recreational court here, which would be something like a half basketball court or a basketball court that could serve a multi-purpose. Essentially, when I bring my young daughter to a park, these paved areas right next to the parking lot provide nice areas for not only to play basketball or to just learn to bounce a ball, but to learn to ride a bike, to scooter, to do a variety of different things that can be located in that general area. And again, that kind of pulls you to the kind of front middle, pulls you away from the residents to the exterior. So I wanted to get something in front of you so that we can at least have a discussion about some of the different items that we've talked about, see if we're hearing some of the feedback correctly, and get some further direction from you on today.
Well, that's actually what's next, and we were going to go over some of the feedback that we received, so is it okay to...
Oh yeah, let's segue into that.
Yeah, do you mind?
Absolutely.
So we'll just go over that, pretty quickly. Thanks, Katie. So I know this is pretty small. This was just an example of one of the letters that had gone out, and this one was particularly to softball, and it was just, really explaining, what the, what our intent was in trying to get a hold of, the organizational, people that use the field, like say lacrosse, softball, soccer, CYBL, anybody. And then went from also to like a caretaker's perspective. So, trees, police, fire, you get the gist. So this was the letter that went out. I don't know if you guys can read it, and I apologize. I thought it would be, can I make it bigger? Hold on. No.
That's the size of your slide, yeah.
Okay, all right. So my apologies on that one, and I can send everybody a copy of the PowerPoint. I apologize. So again, this was the copy of the letter. And again, this was the questionnaire, and I can pass these around because I have copies of both questionnaires if anybody wants to see them. And again, I feel bad because nobody can read it. All right. So here was a list of people, that responded and didn't respond. Steve, for some reason I had you in red, but I know that we talked, so my apologies there. So I will just go off of the computer here. So baseball did not respond. CYBL did not respond. Lacrosse did. Soccer did not. Softball did not. PAL, Police Athletic League, did. And we could not determine a contact for cricket. And then as far as the caretakers go, police responded. Lieutenant Spence is here in representation of the police. Chelmsford Fire did. Oh, wait, DPW, I apologize. DPW, oh, Steve, that's the one that I'm saying. We spoke. Kathleen Canavan from DPW, she responded. The parade committee did not. The tree committee did. Animal control did not. Boy Scouts did not. And Rosie's did not.
Just clarification, I spoke with a representative of the Boy Scouts, and I have their input, so just so you know.
I can give you CYBL's input. I don't know how they didn't respond.
Okay.
Since we have two board members right here with us. It's embarrassing.
Okay. So I apologize. So I can pass this around after. So this was, I just have the, up here first, lacrosse. So Chelmsford Youth Lacrosse, that was John Gump. And so I'm just gonna read the questions this time so everybody can get, and then I will, and I'll read the answers. So the first one is, please describe how your organization uses or would use Roberts Field, including the number of your current enrollment participants using the park, if the field is a planned primary or overflow use, the estimated number of parking spaces needed, the seasonality of the use, the frequency, days and times of use during the season, and the size of areas at Roberts Field that your organization requires. So that's like a 17-part question, but so lacrosse said, we use the field behind the baseball diamond for lacrosse games, clinics, and practices. We have 150 boys enrolled in our program, and in the spring, 50 of the 150 practice and play games on the field. So this is a planned primary field for use, and it gets used 5 to 6 days per week and 40 to 50 parking spots for games. In the summer, we use the same field twice a week for 3 games and 6 setups for the first 8 weeks of the summer. And the summer program has approximately 50 players enrolled. So that's the first question. Second question is, please describe any improvements or maintenance that your organization has done or plans to do at Roberts Field. They answered with, we maintain the grass when the town does not have time to mow it both in the spring and summer. What improvements would your organization like to see or not see implemented at Roberts Field? Do you have any design input? We would not want the playing fields taken out of play. They are extremely important to our organization. The soccer field, one that we use, is actually in decent shape. The pitch and drainage in areas could be improved. Okay, is your organization willing to commit financially or otherwise to improve and maintain Roberts Field? If so, please describe. We would consider pitching in some money to improve the fields that we use, but would like to understand a bit more about what the money would be spent and on what. Not, okay. keep my comments to myself. Do you have any other comments, suggestions, or concerns? With the potential for park renovations, we would be concerned if we were not able to utilize the field as it is a primary field for Chelmsford Youth Lacrosse. That said, we would love to continue our involvement so that we can work collectively to accomplish each of our goals. So those are all the questions, and that was the longest one, by the way, so. Does anybody have any comments on that? No? Okay.
I think it's good feedback. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, it sounds like they're willing to partner and, pitch in, and I know that they do, I think that they just did striping this past week out there, so, and it sounds like it's something they're interested in.
Do you know anything about, like, the commitment that the sports at this point, like, get to? I mean, do they have, like, a lease of the field? Do they just get to use it?
How do they determine if
Yeah.
soccer is going to use it or lacrosse is going to use it?
Yeah,
Or
there's a schedule.
is there some sort of schedule that is given out to anyone?
Do you
I
know?
asked the same question a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, so you don't know?
It's coordinated between school department and community ed.
So someone has a
It's probably
schedule
right
somewhere.
there.
And quick question, is there anything financially contributed at this point? Like baseball has a lease for 99 years or something like that. Is it,
I mean, what Little League does, or youth baseball or whatever, is in the fall, they tend to recut the infield a little bit. They line them, it's just like soccer and lacrosse, as mentioned. They'll line the fields.
right?
But that's,
Now, can I just say something obvious? If they want to play games, somebody's going to line the fields, right? I mean, like, it just seems like a given to me. I mean,
Also,
so,
youth baseball pays for a porta potty there, I know, during their season.
okay. All right. Well, youth baseball did not respond, so, at all.
Interesting, yeah.
They have their meeting tonight, so.
Oh, well, that's helpful.
they're working.
Okay, so that was lacrosse, and again, that was the longest one. So this is just PAL, and I'll just go through it quickly so we remember the questions. We currently use Roberts Field for our wiffle ball tournament with the Lions Arc program. They plan on making a donation to the improvement project, which I've already spoken with Gary Hannigan about 1,000 times, and he spoke with Shayna Mickle previously. What improvements he thinks that we should improve the playground in the athletic fields. Is your organization willing to commit financially? Yes. Do you have any other comments? He's open to conversation and ideas to help, and I've actually been in pretty close contact with him, so that's something that we've discussed and we're going to meet about. All right. Again, there's only a couple. All right. So this is from Fire. This is the caretaker questionnaire, and again, this one's a lot shorter. So please describe your organization's involvement in the use, care, and maintenance of Roberts Field. The Chelmsford Fire Department is not involved in the care and maintenance of Roberts Field. Does your organization have any concerns about specific features or improvements to Roberts Field? Due to the increased number of bark mulch calls that we have responded to, it would be advisable to keep the bark mulch quantities to a minimum. What improvements would your organization like to see or not see implemented at Roberts Field? Do you have any design input? We would be interested in viewing the architectural drawings and providing our feedback. Is your organization willing to commit financially? Charitable contributions would have to be requested through IAFF Local 1839. Do you have any other comments, suggestions, or concerns? We are looking forward to the architectural drawings and the enhancements that will be made. That was Fire. All right. This one is, I'm having trouble seeing on mine. Okay, so Lieutenant Spence, you're next. And for some reason, I don't have this one printed, but I can read it on here. Do you just want me to read it, and then if you want to say something, or it's totally up to you?
Well, I mean, obviously, we think it's a great idea. A couple of the issues, just to summarize, med flight is a big issue for us. It's one of the major landing zones we use.
Okay.
And we don't have many options over there in that area. So we definitely want to meet with them, and I'll be willing to arrange with somebody from here to kind of, they have certain things that they have to follow, certain guidelines as far as how much clearance they need and everything else. So I can look into that.
Okay.
But that's something that is almost a must because of the location of where this is. It's so far out from everything else. If we have an emergency, we need to get the person out of there. We use this one probably more than most of the ones we have.
Okay.
A couple other things were basically our concern is the viewability from the parking lot of the playground for vandalism, things along those lines, of the area. So one thing was cutting the trees up a little bit, not cutting them down, obviously everybody wants trees, but so we can look. Line of sight is a big thing, because reality is guys don't have time every time they come through the lot to get out, walk around the playground.
Is that an issue now, just because it's way over to the right?
Exactly.
So if it was more
Well, this
towards...
is definitely better, I mean, definitely
Okay.
better, but just something as simple as keeping things trimmed a little bit up. And you know what, probably for safety reasons, kids aren't gonna be climbing them and everything else if they're trimmed a little bit up.
Okay.
Another thing that we've seen is the placement of the playground equipment, and I know that's probably something coming down the road that we can still see through. I don't know what type of equipment you're looking at, something that basically some playgrounds, they place it so you can view it right from the street. You can see right through the playground, just by turning certain things. So you don't put any kind of barrier.
Yeah.
Because somebody's gonna hide behind a barrier as soon as you see lights come through there.
Okay.
The lighting obviously helps us, any kind of lighting. I've seen at some of the playgrounds, they're putting at least one motion light.
Yep.
Somebody goes in there, and that actually is a thing for us, if we're going through and we see a light on, like, wait a minute, that shouldn't be on. Kind of warns the guy to get out of the car
Okay.
and go up there. I mean, in a perfect world, some sort of camera up there. I know that that's pretty much, more of an expense, but with the way the technology is going now, it actually as expensive as we would think.
Okay.
And I assume it's got to be like underground utilities for anything there, right?
I'm sure. I
Any-
mean, you guys would know more about that than...
I mean, they're above ground now, so, yeah.
It's going to be underground?
Well, it's above ground for power now, so we can stay that way.
We'll see that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only structure that would require,
Yeah.
right, would be the DPW garage. And then any like, we would run into the playground.
Can I just get your feedback quick on, I know we've had definitely mixed thoughts on bathrooms. And I don't know if you have had any experience with other police departments that have, parks with restroom facilities that, are on some kind of a timer where they, they open up at 9 o'clock in the morning and then they shut off at, dusk. So they're pretty much, you can't penetrate them, at those kind of vulnerable, I guess, hours and things like that. Do you have, any thoughts on that? We just, again, it was one of the things that people kind of wanted to see the most up there, but it was also the thing that people kind of were concerned about. So with it being just such a facility that draws, again, all these sports and, kids with, that are at the playground, mothers with little kids and things like that, do you have any, thoughts on that, pro and con, or just?
I mean, obviously, a couple of the pros, why you would want it, but.
Well, so you can go to the bathroom.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
That's kind of a pro.
As far as the cons, we're gonna have increased drug use up there. It's just the nature of it. It's the nature of it. People are gonna use those bathrooms as soon as they know that they're there. However, there are ways you can combat that. Turning them towards a viewable area, the doors, make sure they're facing where the parking lot is. as much
Or
as
if we
you
had the
can.
camera,
But-
or if we had the security
yeah,
camera,
Or
I
a
mean,
security camera. I'm not saying not to do it, because
Right.
they've had porta potties up there, but if you look at any of this major opioid problem we have, that's where they're going. They're not doing it out in the open. They're gonna find a place, and once they know that there's bathrooms there, whether somebody pegs the door, breaks the door, whatever, I think a camera is an excellent idea. I think turning the doors as much as you can towards that parking lot, so officers come through, and maybe a motion light there. That if there's motion there at night, you close them, like you said.
Right.
Certain time of night, definitely don't leave them open.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
We think it's a great idea. I mean, it's
Okay.
we're up right around here, so.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
On the plan, we've got, you guys have got trees in the parking lot. I don't know the height of those, and is the visibility from the street into the parking lot, was that going to be an issue? If we, I mean, should there be a certain height restriction there so that you can see in, or do you have any thoughts on that?
That would be something we would have to look at. Usually they are pulling in that lot, but the one nice thing, if you didn't have as many trees, people coming down the lot, down the road, those lights, if somebody's doing something that they shouldn't be doing in that park, they're gonna see those lights, and it might be a deterrent to them.
I mean, that's easily changeable.
And just one of the general
Bush.
question, have you seen any sort of specific kind of facilities that you think might deter drug use in the bathrooms? Like,
A big thing is visibility. That's pretty much how we look from a public safety standpoint. If we can see it, and I can tell guys, hey, those bathrooms should be in lockdown at whatever time you decide, 7 PM this time of year. They should be locked, whatever, and they automatically lock. Is that what you're talking, automatic lock at certain times?
Yep. Well, I've gone around and looked at a lot of parks in the area, like there's Narrow Park in Acton, there's the newer park in Drake, like kind of on Lakeview, and I don't know what that road is. It's another like main road, but that thing is like a fortress. I mean, you pretty much can't get into it after, at certain hours. I mean, I guess you would have to be pretty brazen to, and also too, that one, you really can't see anything unless you pull into that parking lot. I mean,
Well, I guess
that
my
one
question,
Drake
I guess for everyone, I know if there was to be a bathroom, it just kind of made sense for everyone in the garage, but maybe that doesn't make sense in terms of what we're talking about. So if you have it right next to the parking lot, and the door is facing the parking lot, which face the street, and make it nice and small, is that something that's feasible, number one? Is it something, again, personally, I go either way. It's not a big thing on my list, like, hey, we gotta have bathrooms, and I understand both sides of it, but, like some of the other places you pull right up, so a police officer is pulling right up, the bathroom's right there, the doors are right in front of you, the cars that are coming. This is a little bit off, and, yeah, you could structure doors, but, I see the concern, I guess, where it is, so, could something go closer? I don't know if it could.
I think it's very,
I
yeah.
can speak a little bit to the building. I mean, we have a number of architects in our firm, and I'm working with the principal architect on this, who will be doing that analysis. Her initial thought when we said, hey, here's the situation, former DPW garage, here's the size, here's where it is. Her immediate feedback was, it's going to cost you just as much to convert it from a garage into a bathroom as it would be to start over.
Construct a nice new
So
one.
her thinking is that it's just not going to be worth it. I mean, once you look at the slab, once you look at adding in anything, the adaptation is actually going to be just as expensive. And she's done a number of projects. She's out of New Hampshire, and she's done a number of projects in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, I believe, doing similar things like this and doing park bathrooms and community facilities. And she's got a number of communities where she said, scrap the building. And they say, no, it's going to be cheaper, and it ends up not being cheaper. She thinks it would be
And I think, obviously, anything even closer to the fire station is going to deter some people.
So
I mean, I don't know, you're probably not going to be able to put it in between.
Yeah.
The feasibility of keeping it in that area, because that's where the utilities are,
Yeah.
is the thing that we're finding would be the most important piece.
Okay.
Right? We wouldn't want to then, move it to the other end, but whether or not we retain that building, you
Yeah,
can
it's
pull
close
it.
to the
Yeah, I mean, you
front.
could rotate it. I mean, and obviously, if you've seen any of these bathroom or bathhouse type facilities, they're wider, and you go in through the front on the wider broadside, the wide side. So I think the orientation could be very easily flipped in and moved closer without a challenge. And if we're saying the likelihood of being able to save it anyway, the pros would probably outweigh the cons on moving that building.
So is that something that maybe just say like maybe we decided to talk about that a little bit further down the road, is that something that, you guys could be involved with as far as like, placement and design and, things like that? Is that something that the police department would be interested
I
in?
can meet somebody out there.
Okay.
Probably the easiest way is just to send me an email.
Okay,
I'm only Monday through Friday,
okay,
days, so.
all right, okay. All right, awesome, thank you so much, we appreciate it. So the next one was just DPW, and then we just have one more after that. So again, it's just the caretaker questionnaire. So DPW, mowing of the fields, weeding, spraying for poison ivy, empty trash barrels and maintaining the playground equipment, maintain the garage, painting, maintain skate shed, electrical supply power for the overhead lights. Does your organization have any concerns? Maintenance of the bathrooms, who is going to pay for the operation and maintenance of the building? Who is going to clean and maintain the bathrooms? Landscaping, we suggest a low-maintenance landscape plan that does not require frequent weeding. Playground specifications should include low-maintenance material. What improvements would your organization like to see? I would encourage you to design a master plan which incorporates some flexibility in the design, allowing for future growth or changing interests. Is your organization willing to commit financially? If Roberts Field was expanded to promote greater use, I would have to ask for additional funding in my budget to supply manpower and materials to maintain the facility. Do you have any other comments? Currently, my budget is very limited, overseeing what's O&M? All right, of 29 buildings. If proper funding isn't secured in advance, the facility could fall into despair or become poorly maintained. Do you have any thoughts on that? Seeing as that's kind of you.
Yeah, I mean, the operation and maintenance is what it is. I mean, I know people complain. The biggest complaint we get up there is grass, conditions of that stuff. But, I mean, in all honesty, it's two guys, and they cut the grass at the schools, Southwell, Varney, Roberts, Field is built down back. It's way too much for two guys.
Now,
So that gets to once a week, full speed ahead, zip. And if it rains a couple of days, it screws everything up.
Steve, do you have any, and I'm not trying to I know you probably, I have to be very diplomatic in this situation. Do you have any, No. Do you have any thoughts as to, again, you go back to like the athletics and things like that, and it seems like people are like, yeah, I mean, hey, we'll help, but, nobody really seems to like really want to help. And, for me, I think it's like, I remember just as a kid, we used to do fundraisers to like help maintain like fields and facilities, because guess what? We were the ones that played on them. And I feel like everybody feels so entitled to this space, yet they do well, yeah, we line the fields. Okay, well, good for you. If you want to play a game, you got to line the field. I think
up here it's structured a little differently than some of the other properties.
Okay.
Like you look at the soccer fields at like Harrington, then over to South Row, or the soccer fields at off of Norwood Road, Bertha Fields.
Okay.
Youth soccer has MOU memorandum of understanding with the entities of schools, and then conservation runs probably what it is.
Okay.
So they're responsible for certain things, maintenance and upkeep. Obviously, baseball has their own facility down back here. They mow, they maintain. The only other fields they use Robertson, they use Strawberry Hill, off of Jordan. We mow those, but this is scheduled, like I said, through the combination of schools and community ed.
Okay.
So up here, there is no, of that other language on, we're responsible for this, you're responsible for this.
So do you think there should be?
Well, they could be. There's nothing that says they can't be, but I don't think anybody's really driven any of that to get something like that.
Okay.
In my experience of other fields and playgrounds and parks, where you have so many different users,
Yep.
it becomes more difficult to do that.
Correct.
At Murphy Fields, it's just soccer, that's easy. Here, it's just baseball, it's easy. And here, where everyone's using it at the same time, it kind of becomes one of those things that becomes a town level issue.
Okay.
I'm working in Burlington. They do all, they're, I don't know exactly what all the financial arrangements are, but they have a few fields that have multiple sports.
Yeah.
So they sort of do it. My niece and nephew are in sports, and their leagues are not responding. So I think it really depends on the use of the facility.
Okay.
And where it's just so much, in the lacrosse group uses the soccer fields, and they, so that's, just becomes, I think, more difficult than it needs to be to sort it all out.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I just want to make like a quick note about,
And I also think more so here than other fields in town, other people are using it.
so,
Yeah.
When
okay.
the cost is out there may still be someone who took their kid to play baseball and are using the diamond. It just,
Yeah.
you want to make sure as the town that it's maintaining for
Right. So what do we do in this situation? Because we've now kind of been working on this for like almost 2 years, and we've given people, you know, at this point, I think with public input sessions and meetings that have been televised, and, you know, now we send out questionnaires and surveys and all the stuff that we've done, I feel like we've given people very ample opportunity to come and say their 2 cents and say how much they use the field, how much they want to use the field. You know, and there really just hasn't been a response. So why should we, I feel like, kind of just
Waiting.
like kind of just bow to them and say like, oh, well, yeah, you just deserve to, like, you know, kind of make demands, and you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel that way about like the whole thing. It's like, you know, I feel like we're volunteering our time and as a committee coming in and like trying to improve things, but yet everybody feels like they're entitled to use that space, yet nobody bothers to respond or help or ask if they can help or, you know, say that they'll, you know, give money or anything like that. So like, what are we supposed to do in that situation? Just like say, all right, fine, you win and you kind of get everything you want and that's it? Or
Well, I think you have to.
I'm going from both, I'm just,
Yeah, you have to move forward with what the committee wants to do. Ultimately, the committee makes a decision, you'll recommend to the selectmen.
Yeah.
They'll vote to, what consideration at least has to be given to, you know, to live.
and I get that. It's,
But I mean, I don't
Well, and-
necessarily think if they're not responding, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, okay, fine, baseball, you had your opportunity.
Yeah.
The T-ball field's going, and one of the other fields is going, you're gonna have one small, nice one here in the middle.
Yeah.
Because we talked to the lacrosse people and the soccer people, and they want, you know, maybe some consideration for this. We didn't hear from you, so
right,
lose.
yeah.
So there are 2 board members from baseball,
Basketball.
basketball, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was baseball. I mean, I think the reality of community building and community organization is that not everyone's going to respond, but then they'll respond
When it's happening.
when it's happening. And I think
It's too
there
late.
should be, and in most successful situations where people are able to work together, it's not a bowing to the past and what happens now,
Mhm.
but a respect for, okay, baseball, you use this field now.
Yeah.
You know, and mailing letters is great, but maybe if someone knows someone, we can make a phone call with the town, you know, maybe the town reaching out. I think,
We've
Yeah,
definitely
we've done that.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
we've done that.
There's, and I don't know all of what's happening.
Oh, no, of course you don't.
You know,
Yeah.
I think, you know, maybe just, and it don't, you know, the response from the cross to me didn't sound like they were making demands. They're just saying, hey, this is what.
Oh, yeah. No. I think, again, I look at Roberts Field, and, again, I mean, I'm only saying this for the purposes of, like, hey, I played soccer in college. Like, I played women's football after. Like, athletics has been a huge part of my life. But I still think that the town, you know, deserves a space that's sacred almost. Like, you know, you have Murphy Fields, you have South Row Fields, you have Strawberry Hill, you have the softball fields, you have the field down here. It's like, almost like every piece of, like, open space is taken over by fields. And it's like, believe me, I think that this would be an awesome, like, hey, overflow field, hey, pickup, like, that, you know, but whatever, but, you know, that's the thing. It's just like, it's just not gonna be like, I think, like a nice park if it's constantly, like, being overrun by, like, athletics that just kind of destroy it. So that's, I feel like I'm kind of like battling with that, like, in my own head.
Like, is lacrosse using Roberts Field because it's convenient, or are there no other options? Because I find that super hard to believe, but I guess we can reach out to them to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I
There's
don't
so
know.
much-
Again,
many fields.
I'm just trying to, like, again, there's 2 sides of it. There's like, there's the people who use the athletic fields in town, which I guess it's a very small percentage of, you know, the people in Chelmsford. And then there's like everybody else. And it's like, you know, I'm sure, I don't, of course, that's my phone, right? I apologize. So, anyways, I don't know. Again, I'm just trying to, like, you know, play this whole thing out of my head. I mean, it's just like, I guess what some people want and what some people don't want. It's like, some people want bathrooms, some people don't. Some people want athletic fields, some people don't. So, and you know, yes, they've been, you know, grandfathered in. That's what they have at this point. That's the arrangement. That's what it is. But again, I just think it's ridiculous to go and spend, you know, $30,000 on a master plan when really that whole open field is just going to stay as crappy as it is right now. Because I certainly wouldn't vote to spend the money on it.
I would say I think that's kind of a negative view. And
Okay.
anytime you're doing work like this, even if it doesn't particularly immediately improve the status quo, just by bringing the view to this that you guys have done, even if it remains a field and the playground moves and even if the fields remain and it's just open, the attention to it increases use, increases people's interest, and so it will not, it's not, I think just by having, the more people who notice and care, and which you guys have done an incredible job of making sure people are aware of this field and recognizing it and knowing it, even if it is open grass, more people, the more people who are using it and loving it and caring for it, the more people, when the grass is dead, are going to call DPW, and the more pressure on DPW. One of the recommendations I've written down, and I think when I worked here, one of the recommendations is to need more facility staff, but the opportunity of doing this master plan gives you the ability to say, in addition to the site plan recommendations, one of our recommendations is that additional funding be provided to facilities to hire more people so that we can better maintain. That's one of the benefits of planning. So I'm obviously not planning, but anytime you're planning, you're putting attention and thought into something that even just providing attention and thought improves things.
I totally get that, and I apologize if that comes off as negative. I think it more, from my perspective, I think I'm just looking at it as...
It's very short, incremental, long-term progress, and it's really hard to stay positive when it's short, when it's really tiny, minute, but you guys have come a really long way. And it's hard to stay mindful of that. I get it. I mean, I've been on your side 100 times. I get it. It's hard to stay positive, but that's why you have us. We can say, no, guys, look, you have really done this much.
Okay.
Because it is hard when you're doing this over and over again, and it feels like you're not spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
It may feel like that sometimes, but once you take a step back at a higher level, it's not what's happening. It's definitely hard to stay positive.
Yeah, and again, I'm not meaning to come off negative, I'm meaning to come off as just frustrated, I think, because okay, so the last one is...
One thing, I've talked to baseball throughout this process, and I spoke to 2 board members this week. They're meeting today. Their problem is, and it's a fundamental shift in baseball that half the group doesn't believe is happening and the other half of the group believes is happening. And that's the size of the diamond for kids ages 11 through 13. And so they are in an internal struggle right now and are constantly changing depending on which faction you talk to. So they're having a board meeting tonight, and I told both factions this week that you got to decide one way or the other. Otherwise, you're going to be left out in the cold. If you decide that you want that one pony league field, then you have to decide that and have a board meeting, have a vote, and make a decision. Because right now, the way the plan is set up right now, baseball would lose out because they don't want that little t-ball field. They either want 2 of these loopy infield types, or they would like the pony league field. And they do still have the numbers down there where they've consolidated the kids down there. Their problem is they just can't decide where they think that the wind is blowing, right?
Yep, and
That's exactly correct. Same conversation I had with a board member yesterday.
Okay.
And the pony field fits in this plan, but it's huge.
It's huge.
It fits, it's basically the
Entire.
entire green space.
And my suggestion to both board members was to see if we could do something with like a Parker where there's already a backstop there.
Yeah, the board member I spoke to.
I think it's the same one. So
We had 2 different locations, the back corner of McCarthy and Parker.
Right, and I think that would, because to me, I would rather see this
Open.
be not that pony field, because I think that, again, when we talked to the neighbors, they didn't want increased out-of-town traffic. So if you're gonna have a pony team, those are gonna be a lot of out-of-town people coming in to play at those fields, whereas these are strictly used for Chelmsford kids, the way that it's set up now.
And I think in the plan, there's flexibility, right? For 3 years, yeah, you can recut the infield, the outfield, the soccer field, all you have to do is strike, there's flexibility to do that, and if there's a tournament or something and you need to add additional crossfit, that's one of the benefits of keeping that space open, is you maintain the sight lines, but you can also maintain flexibility for the town to run events, you guys want to run events, and for sports teams to have different configurations depending on their.
Well, I think that's what's so great about this right now, is that there's plenty of room for flexibility. I mean, there really is, so,
I mean, that's the thing, if you start looking at these two items, or the other items that we had talked about on the list, things like the amphitheater, things like bocce, things like basketball court, like they all want to be kind of around the outer ring to some extent. So
Yeah.
you're really leaving like
That
in
whole-
the middle, you can see the soccer field and the smaller diamonds underneath there. Like there's significant room there to fit in, you know, two soccer fields or two lacrosse fields.
yep, yep.
And it would just be strange.
I think like the thing about soccer is that soccer's just grass, like there's nothing there. Like where baseball requires, it would break up the field because of the dirt, because of the backstops, things like that. So that would obviously maybe have to be strategically placed where the outfields were more connected or something, just to keep it more, but that's, you guys will do that stuff.
When I played baseball when I was little, it was set up in a way with the two diamonds, so that when we were in season, the outfield was large enough that they could, so it's still
Accommodate.
even though you didn't have the dirt and the dirt was there, you could maintain and fit other things in.
Yep.
So that was, and a lot of communities are set up that way. So
Yeah, I mean, and you guys, I'm sure, have plenty of, experience with that stuff.
And based on their age that they use down there, which is 8 and under, you don't need much outfield. And that's why they like the dirt cut out, so they can adjust bases depending on the ages without having the grass skim
No, and
infield, right?
that's
So,
an important piece for it to be kind of adjustable.
one other thing, I don't know if the question was answered or the question was asked, for lacrosse and soccer, I don't believe games are played up there. I think they're using for practice times, which would affect,
Soccer tends to use that in the spring as an overflow field, they're resting another field in the spring,
the Harrington of it.
like Harrington, or a couple of years ago, they rested the fields at South Row. So it made Saturday mornings a little interesting up there with baseball and spring soccer going, people park.
Right.
All over, back when I was a kid, they parked up and down the street.
And I think lacrosse and games.
Yeah, lacrosse
Maybe not
does.
all the time.
Yeah,
I'm-
lacrosse
I'm-
does play games.
But I think for the most part, soccer.
I don't buy that.
Practice.
Practice.
Unless, like I say, unless they're resting the field.
Okay.
They also invested some money in the turf fields in town, right? So, sure lacrosse would, they both did, soccer and lacrosse, and they're at the high school all day long on Saturdays, right?
Yeah.
At least soccer is.
Well, and both of those sports, where you talk about the divide in baseball, there's also been in some areas, a trend of lower baseball enrollment. Lacrosse and soccer have really boomed. Soccer boomed, maybe 15 years ago, and has stayed incredibly high. Lacrosse is a newer one and is rivaling soccer for enrollment. So just because they have game space elsewhere doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have the extra
Right.
space. And they're probably projecting, they're all volunteers too, and I assume they're also projecting and looking ahead to where they have been and what they're doing. 5, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, lacrosse was not really a factor in
Right.
the conversation.
Okay, this is just the last one.
I had one question for Steve.
Yeah.
So facilities picks up the trash now, right? And the cans and stuff that are out there, and they use trucks to drive around to do it. I would expect that we'd want to kind of plan for that in the future as well, right? To have the ability to drive vehicles out to pick up.
Yeah, because the trash piles out by the baseball field, they kind of loop through.
Would the walking track be an option?
No, that wouldn't be.
So. Does facilities have a golf cart?
That's what the fundraiser's for next weekend, for the golf cart.
But I mean, that's something to consider and plan for, vehicle access. And I know that the lacrosse uses it, drives vehicles out to the back when they do striping and stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, we would absolutely be able to maintain limited vehicle access. You don't want to make it like an invitation. So we would, absolutely, the plan would allow for the access that needs to be there. Access that needs to be there, but it's not inviting other groups.
Because it gets trenched out now.
It gets what?
It gets trenched now,
Yeah,
right?
the trash in the same place.
Well, when it's wet in the spring, so.
Right, and there are things, will not be wet. But again, with increased user access and stuff, maybe it's asking
No.
the crop when they're done, to pull, you know, and that's sort of, those are sort of the policy type things. But it's also probably providing
And
to
probably-
prevent that any organized thing needs to take their time, I mean, just stuff like that.
Or built into the plan as well, right? You could do that, right?
All right. Smart one. Okay, so this is the last one. This is the tree person, Jim Tree. So oh, Jim, hi, how are you? Would you like me to go over this? For some reason, I had to blow you out.
I'm not sure what I wrote, but basically, I'm very concerned about those 5 existing trees by the playground.
What particular concern?
Damaged by, taken down,
I don't think that's part of the plan
or
at all.
damaged during construction because they're not properly protected. That's my real key. Then I look at this plan and I see these walkways by them, and that really gets me upset. Because those are valuable trees.
They're great trees.
Right, and I
Yes.
think that's like, as from day one, that has been the conversation, is that
Okay.
those trees are 100% wanted and needed.
Okay,
So-
now you move into the second one of how are you going to protect them? It's gonna, I don't want to see the same thing that happened out here by the fire department where they had a nice oak and the plan said to be preserved, and then the contractor, well, what they did was they put a piece of orange ribbon around it. I guess that was the protection. Then the contractor came in and cut off all the roots. Now, the tree doesn't fall over at that time, but 5 years later, gee, I wonder what happened to the tree. And of course, the contractor and the designer, they're gone down the road.
I don't know how much Allison and Katie know about this, but I've sat in on probably 10 meetings with different playground companies in the last 2 years, and there isn't much excavation, if any, needed for the insertion of a playground. If anything, it would be built up, because of the surfacing that needs to happen. So there really would not be any kind of, again, excavation or digging down. That's what I've understood about the process. And the one reason why I asked that question is because I know there's a lot of ledge up there. So,
But adding soil over the roots is just as bad as cutting the roots off.
do you guys have any,
I mean, do you have a suggestion?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd say reroute the walkways if you want to keep those trees, and also come up with a proper set of specifications to protect the trees. Go with a critical root zone,
I mean, can you,
protect it.
and do you want to help us along that? That'd be
Sure.
great. I mean, we're looking for,
Yeah.
Not against it at all.
The tree committee's got a set of specifications that we're working on now for tree protection.
perfect.
But it also comes down to enforcement.
Yep.
Because
So-
what happens is, yeah, it's written down there, but there are no consequences on the contractor. All of a sudden, they're piling stuff by the base of the tree, they're mixing concrete, they're parking their vehicles there, and there's no consequences.
So has there been anything done in the past
To do-
that you know of
To do,
for consequences, or has there been
yeah,
anything put in place?
I used to be the consulting arborist for the public garden. And the town, the city there had, you're gonna work there, each of those trees is worth $30,000. You're responsible for them, son. Of course, there'd be a lot of screaming and yelling. But then they'd also be told what they had to do. Whether the town ever had to enforce that or had the guts to do it, I don't know. But yes, there things can be done.
So how quickly, or well, not even how quickly, how much time does it take, I guess, to find out those particular specifications so we can
I
kind
can
of try
email
to
them to you.
implement them?
I can
You know,
email them to you.
Because I don't want them to keep
Basically,
backtracking on
it's
things.
Keep everything off within, you take the diameter of the tree, you multiply it by 10. That gives you your minimal root protection zone. Then you put up chain link fence around the outside perimeter, and nothing happens inside.
So then how is that tree gonna be utilized as any kind of shade or anything
Once-
for a
For
playground?
construction.
That's just during
Well, the shade's
construction.
gonna be there.
Well,
Shade's
not
gonna-
10 times the diameter?
Right, that's what you're trying to do, is protect the roots.
Okay,
No roots, no tree.
okay. Okay, then, so can you
Yeah, I will
maybe send
email
that?
the committee.
Yep.
The specs. Please feel free to get a hold of me. I was looking at the soccer field, and the problem there, I think, is it's never, how often is it fertilized?
I don't think it's ever fertilized.
There's your problem. Can't grow grass, you can't grow turf without fertilization.
Well, it's not, there's no irrigation either, so.
Doesn't need irrigation. They used to grow great grass without irrigation. Fertilizer, liming, that's what needs to be done. Now, Lacrosse says that they were might be interested in reaching into their wallet and pulling it out. Well, a good fertilization program, pH adjustment, that would go a long way. I think a lot of them, they look at it, well, hell, it's crap. Why should we put any money into it? You know, it's even like the baseball diamonds. The infields are loaded with crabgrass. You know? And it's not a matter of somebody's going to be out there pulling them up, but there are certain chemicals that can be used to take care of that.
Right, there's just a lot of parents now at this point that don't want their kids in the chemicals.
Then you either live with the crabgrass or not. You know, all it takes is one screamer but this is, you need some management. It can't be, you know, we'll go out, we'll mow the weeds once a week, because that's what you've got. I don't think you've got turf in there at all.
Well, I think that's like the whole premise behind
Right.
this whole thing is trying to make it better, so,
But
I
my
mean,
thought is, if the Lacrosse are interested in coming up with some money, they can pay for fertilizing their lacrosse patch.
so what's the time frame? Like, say if they fertilized now, how long?
You're
Like,
probably
when-
fertilizing twice a year. since
But how
it's
long
not
do they have to
irrigated.
stay off of that to,
No.
okay. We can
You
certainly
can
bring that
fertilize
up.
in the morning and play that afternoon.
Get some notes.
Okay. All right.
We'll suggest that.
But expanding on that, the lacrosse people come up with some money, their patch is fertilized, the soccer people want their thing patch, they've got to come up with some more money. And I was reading online that the playing surface is most important to soccer. Of all the games, outside of maybe baseball, quality of the playing surface is really important to good quality soccer. So maybe they'll reach in and find their money and go from there.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I think I've said myself.
Good points.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the last part of the agenda right now.
Well, actually, there is one thing. We had talked about earlier about planting out in the middle of the parking lot. Years ago, when we first met,
Okay.
you were interested, and then there was ledge in there. You don't want to try to plant trees in ledge, so somebody's going to have to go out and find out, particularly in that parking lot, is there a ledge down there?
Is that something that can be, you mean the whole thing is, there's
Yeah.
ledge everywhere, so is that something that can be
They're all-
discovered
They're all
before?
coming out anyway, because we need to be able to see into it, so.
Yeah, so
all
that
those trees
it's
are
in,
coming out.
yeah.
But even in the on the walking trail and stuff, because you've got some new tree plantings along the trail, so I'm wondering if, I mean, is that going to be an impediment to having trees planted there?
Yes, potentially, yeah.
Is-
It would depend on the type of stuff.
Is that something that you can find out? I mean, like, how does that work? Do you find out that there's ledge there before, or do you buy the trees and dig the hole and then, you know what I mean?
Is it these 5 trees?
Those are the trees that are already there.
What he's talking about?
Yeah. Okay, so you guys have that noted, the ledge? Okay.
Another question, what kind of trees are you planning on putting in there, or you have it from there?
This is a very, very conceptual.
I vote for palm trees.
Yeah, just in my
The more tropical, the better.
Yeah.
We can take them out and keep them in the Weston Nursery's greenhouse over the winter.
Sounds good.
Listen, I've already looked into it. Not for Roberts Field, for my own house, just saying. Okay, last thing is the fundraiser next weekend. So here, just, we can set up anytime after 4 o'clock. My plan is I'm gonna see if I can get in there on Friday and just kind of like set everything up. As far as like assistance, obviously I'm usually like a workhorse when it comes to setup, but right now I'm not exactly in shape to do that. So I think, again, these are just the things that we need help with: reception and signing people in and collecting money. And Deb Haywood has volunteered to help us. There have been a couple people who have volunteered to help. So I feel like I'm probably gonna set her and maybe somebody else up at the door with her, just helping her. You're like the raffle queen. So we're gonna need people selling raffles, and then end of the night, just like clean up and breakdown, which probably should be pretty easy because I don't think there's gonna be a lot that we're gonna have to, break down. It should be pretty easy. And then as far as raffle stuff right now, we have Goldfish Swim School that's doing like a whole week, or a whole month of swimming lessons for free. We have a Rafina's gift certificate. We have a Boston Marathon print, a Rodan and Fields basket, a gift certificate to Sparkle Meals, a golf foursome at Shaker Hills. Brick House donating everything. Fitness Together is also donating. I'm just gonna pick it up. And there's actually another basket of stuff. So, we have some pretty decent, like, little raffle stuff right now, but anything obviously would be welcome, and any donations, and I've been talking to Gary Hannigan as well on that, so. If anybody can do anything else, that'd be greatly appreciated, and that's pretty much it.
Shana, what do you need for help? How many more people, or?
That's the thing, I don't think we need, like, once we kind of like get people like signed in and sell some raffle tickets, I have 2 tip certified bartenders that are gonna be there. Again, I think most of it just happens in kind of like the setup, the breakdown, and just the initial getting people through the door, kind of like collecting money, things like that.
Are we selling tickets ahead of time?
No, it was kind of too short notice, but I do have a running list of people that have already said, that they're coming and things like that. So, because I said $30 if you kind of like apply ahead, or say you're coming ahead of time, and $35 at the door. And Carol and I had talked about possibly giving people like a drink ticket or something like that for their first drink, like when they come in. So, anyways, so that's the deal. Okay? Would you like to donate a John Deere lawnmower from the town of Chelmsford?
Our bunch of lieutenant Spencer's in the back, too.
So that's pretty much it. I don't have a gavel.
Should we set a meeting for the next meeting, a date?
Sure.
Let's do it.
And if you'll email me the PowerPoint presentation, and I'm assuming you have a electronic copy of this plan?
Yeah.
Can you send it to me and I'll post that as well?
Don't think I didn't try to get that today, okay?
And so when for the meeting works for everyone?
So like a month from now?